Now we have with us the Executive Director of the Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, Adetokunbo Momuni, in the studio. Adetokunbo, it's good to have you really join us. You're welcome. Now, Nigerians are really concerned. We often, when you don't want to hear, you must hear. $2 billion, 200 million, you keep hearing amounts on the news, and Nigerians are so angry when they keep hearing amounts, whether they are right or they are wrong. But let's get into this issue right now. Money is not once, not twice that have been found allegedly traceable to former First Lady of Nigeria. Now, when you sit down, I know you've done a lot of investigation on this, you've issued out statements and all of that. Now, what really goes through your mind when you see these things? Let me ask you that first. What really goes through your mind?
It's disturbing. It's like when you discuss Nigeria's problem about looting, it is like dialogue with the deaf. You continue to repeat things, continue to argue the same thing all over again. But it's unfortunate. Now, maybe let me get into the context of the directive of the Senate immediately. Like I always say, maybe here or on some other occasions, I have a feeling that this Senate is not serious. You see, when matters concern people of no means, Nigerians were asked to queue for employment in the Nigeria Immigration Service. It's not too long ago. People died. The thing was poorly arranged. You will never hear the Senate make any pronouncements. It is when it concerns people of their ilk that they will say they want to intervene. I now wonder whether the Senate has now become the imperial Senate of Nigeria. Now, let us assume, without conceding, that the right of President Jonathan has been violated in relation to our money, in code now. It is not the business of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What they should have done is to advise her to follow the process of law. How do you do it? If your right has been violated, you go to court. The courts are the only arbiter in disputes between individuals and individuals, between individuals and government agencies, between government agencies and government agencies. It is never the business of one arm of government to now start issuing orders. You see, the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria or the National Assembly, they've ridiculed themselves consistently by dressing in borrowed gaps. Powers they do not have, they assign and assume themselves, which is not what democracy is about. Democracy is supposed to be built on every department of government, arms of government, staying within its sphere of influence. The sphere of influence of the legislator is lawmaking. No, the Senate or the National Assembly has no right to make an order. It is never part of the business of a lawmaker. The people that will execute whatever is done are the executive. The people that will make pronouncements, interpretations, are the judiciary. When the Senate now takes over a judicial assignment, making orders, giving directives, then I regard that as an imperial character, which should not be part of democracy.
Well, then we can safely say that it behaves on the EFCC as an arm of the executive to decide to follow or not that instruction or order. As
you see, let's take it this way. I know that there are laws which the EFCC will have followed in asking the order to freeze cannot be given by EFCC. It will be an order obtained from a court of competent jurisdiction. The EFCC has no power to freeze any account. The law that even before now, the law that I know is that the court will make the order. Now, if a court has made an order that an account be frozen, so whatever any person affected by that order thinks is wrong, the person will now go back to the court and say, what about this order? No, it has affected me wrongly. It shouldn't have been made.
Former First Lady is alleging victimization because she supported her husband, former President Goodluck Jonathan, among other accusations leveled against her by the current administration.
Let us say it is victimization. It will now go back to the court who made the order. Now reconsider your order. You know, the order will have been obtained ex parte. Ex parte means motion. In the absence of the other party. The courts normally give such order if they think it is worth giving. Now you are now being served an order obtained ex parte. You now check your record and look at the way you've conducted your life. And you now go back to the court and say, court, this order should not stand. It is only a court that gave the order that can reverse it, not the Senate of the Federal Government of Nigeria. You see, when things concern poor people, our Senate don't respond. It is when big people are involved. For example, it is only when big people are involved that people talk about media trial. People have been sentenced to God knows how many years imprisonment for stealing RAM, for stealing 50,000 naira. Nobody talks about it is against democracy, it's against rule of law then. But when the big man is involved, it is when they start saying all whatnot. It's unfair on Nigerian people. When we elect people to pursue our interests, we have a government that says, I want to fight corruption. Most of money has been recovered, subject to judicial pronouncement. The Senate will now come in and be issuing orders.
But you know what they say in animal farm, some animals are more equal than others. But then, that aside, wouldn't you think it's because the Senate, being an authority of the federal government, the National Assembly of Nigeria, is trying to protect the integrity of the former office of the president and, of course, the First Lady, so they wouldn't be ridiculed?
You see, let me tell you straight away. There is nothing like the office of the First Lady in the Constitution of Nigeria. Let's take it from that part.
We know, but she acted in an official manner. See, anyway,
except to call the wife of the president the wife of the president, you see, you don't create a post of position that is not legally binding, that is not known to law. The office of the First Lady of Nigeria is unknown to Nigerian law. Check all the laws of Nigeria, you can't find the office of the First Lady there. So to say you want to protect an office not known to law is, to me, anachronistic. Now, it is not, you see, when you are the Senate of the Federal Government of Nigeria, what concerns you are matters of fundamental importance to the lives of ordinary Nigerians. You don't say, when you see how they run it in the places in Senate environment, in the US, in the House of Commons in England. You don't see them dabble into private matters. The wife of the former president is now a private citizen. Even when we have attributed and assigned the role of First Lady to her, unknown to our law, she
in the eyes of the law,
yes,
she was still a private citizen.
You don't hear sort of things like this in other environments where they practice democracy. It's only in Nigeria that we want to say is one of our own. And you see, the truth of the matter is that it is people that are powerful in Nigeria are in one angle. They love themselves. They are the protectors of themselves. It is the poor people that are on the other side. And when it is a battle of what the general people want, and the battle for people of, and what the battle for what people of means want, the people of Nigeria, the generals of Nigeria, always hold the short end of the stick. And that is the reason for this order.
All right, now there is the revelation that part of the monies that were traced to the former First Lady, about $175 million, has been withdrawn, even though there's still a ban or sorry, a freeze on the money. So what are the implications of this?
If the order of a court is in existence, that's the law that I know. If the order of a court is in existence and somebody played some shenanigans and that order is violated either directly or indirectly, that person should be taken up legally, not by any pronouncement. You see, once the court made an order and you violate it, you should go for contempt. I think that is why the FCC must now look at the circumstance under which those money got withdrawn in spite of the court order. And the procedure should be followed logically, and the person whoever is involved should be dealt with. All right.
Yeah, talking about that, there seems to be that indication, even in another aspect. Former First Lady, former wife of the president, we are used to calling her that anyway, Patience Jonathan, succeeded in frustrating EFCC's effort in getting an ex parte motion of confiscating 2 of her buildings somehow, because what the norm in the country is that, yes, like you said, it's supposed to be in the absence of the party involved, but somehow her litigants got wind of it and they appeared in court at the point the judge was supposed to make the ruling that the buildings should be confiscated. And then her lawyer now questioned the jurisdiction of the judge and the court. So she succeeded. So the question many are asking is, how did they hear about it?
No, you see, there are a lot of people that are the enemies of our common patrimony. It is normally allowed when you bring an application, when you take an application to court, you understand, and you want to obtain an ex parte order. If by chance, let's say it was by chance that President Jonathan people got to know about it, they will be entertained. That means it is the people that you want the order to be made are now here. Now put them on notice, let us go inter partes now. Rather than ex parte, now go inter partes. It is normally done. It is not because it is Jonathan's wife or anybody. When you want to obtain an ex parte order and the person you say you want to obtain the ex parte order against happens to be in court, the court will give him the opportunity of being heard. That has been part of our law since for ages. So that is not too strange. But the truth of the matter is that maybe they will now have a lot of people in court, the court registrars, the court, whatever, giving them information that something is happening. That is possible. It is being a diligent litigant. Once you go off and out of court regularly, you become familiar with the court environment, you become friendly with judicial officers, and they will give you information. There is no problem.
In the eyes of the law, where does that stand? If you have to divulge information of goings on in the court to people outside?
Let me say straight away that once a judicial proceeding commences, it is already in the open. And you see, assuming we are in a judicial litigation, the 2 of us alone, every other Nigerian can apply for certified true copy of what transpired. It is not a question of is it your business? No. Court proceedings are normally held in public. And every Nigerian should have access to it. That is the rule generally. So to say they now got wind of it, it is part of the process.
Yeah, but in a situation where the court has not sat yet.
Yes.
And because maybe the clerk or the registrar or something is privy to the goings on, and they divulge such kind of information.
That becomes a matter that you'll be looking at under the Official Secret Act. Okay. There is a law saying matters which you are engaging as a civil servant must not get into the open until it becomes open. They can be taken up in that respect. But I say, every court proceedings, once commenced, is a matter of public knowledge. Okay. All right. Every Nigerian is entitled to participate in it.
Okay, so let's look at how the EFCC is going about these cases so far. Are you confident, really, that it's not going to bungle it, because it's lost many high-profile cases in the past, somehow, maybe either through technicalities or another problem? So looking at how this has been handled, and now looking at the wife of the former president is getting the backing of the Senate, and even before this time of the House of Representatives. Are you confident that justice will be served?
Yes,
justice.
Yes. I believe that the Nigerian judiciary is up to the task. I don't see the backing of any other person except the backing of due process of law. You see, what will happen at the end of the day? You see, when you say the EFCC has lost some matters, I believe that that has not always been the end of the process. You may win at the High Court. If there are grounds of appeal, you take it to the Court of Appeal. You see, until the EFCC loses a case at the Supreme Court, that is when I say it has lost. You understand? Just like...
How many cases have we heard of that have been...
No, we had very recently that somebody...
How many of them? That's the question.
No, you see, some of what we see happens at the interlocutory level. When matters happen at the interlocutory level, you can't say it is a final judgment. Okay. You can lose a preliminary argument. But the nitty-gritty of the matter comes after all trial has been concluded. Okay. That is when I would say sincerely that the FCC has lost.
But in all of these delays,
yes,
in finally concluding these issues, what impact does it have in the fight against corruption, really?
That is that is a key question. You see, perception becomes the reality most of the time. Yeah. You see, once Nigerians start seeing that people that are engaged in larceny against our common patrimony are not being dealt with promptly, it gives Nigerians some cause to worry. It gives Nigerians the impression that this government is not serious. And that is why I call on the government to, you see, the only political capital that President Buhari has is on integrity. You understand? And once any step is taken, whether deliberately or unconsciously, which negates that integrity, probity, and accountability, then the president should be worried. But
then public perception really shouldn't be the yardstick of judging any accused person.
No, I'm even saying, no, that is not the issue in judicial balance. But I'm saying, you see, I normally say legal justice is not justice. Legal justice belongs to lawyers as lawyers. What is important is social justice. Very, very important. You understand? If a lot of Nigerians think that the judiciary is not serious, even if you do legal justice and people think it is a plaything, then we are back to square one.
Okay. Right, well, we have to leave it here now. Adetokunbo Mumuni, Executive Director of SERAP, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.